What's going on, y'all? Straight to the point, sports and entertainment. I want you to hit that like button. Make sure you sub to the channel if you're not a member, and also hit the notifications so that you are able to get all of my content and all of my videos. I do want to give a shout out to the whole entire Lions Den basketball as well as boxing community, and salute to all of the people that rock with me too. Okay. Um, Before I get this video started, man, let me give a shout out to a couple of people. First off, let me give a shout out to Nick Steves. Um, he has a podcast on YouTube. Really good channel. He is a Philadelphia native as well as a Philadelphia Eagles and Philadelphia 76ers fan. If you're not sub to Nikki Steves, definitely go sub to Nick Steve's podcast. And I also want to give a shout out to um, Blaze McCoy. He also is a Philadelphia 76ers fan as well, and he has a channel too as well. So salute to both of them. And the reason why I shouted them out is because I had the opportunity to go over there, and we were all pretty much uh, discussing who's at fault for the Philadelphia Sixers collapse this season. Now, earlier in the community post, as you notice, I did put who's at blame for the Philadelphia Sixers collapse, and you had a choice of either Paul George, uh, Nick Nurse, Tyrese Maxey, Joel Embiid, Daryl Morey. Okay. What's up, Carter? Yeah, and we're definitely going to talk about it right now. Now, and I also want to give a shout out to the brother BJ Pull Up Podcast. If you're not sub to BJ over there at the Pull Up Podcast, definitely go sub to his channel. Now, this is a this is a topic that does need to be discussed. Is surfacing over the internet right now, especially considering the blowout that we had against the Denver Nuggets, in which we took an L last night, 144 to 109. As you know, Joel Embiid uh, has had not played in Denver in some thousand some thousand games or something like that. um, and not thousand games, but I should say days. I should say, but either way, hey, what's up with y'all? What's up, Gray? What's up, Bear King, Bailey Tracy? What's up? What's up? Appreciate y'all being in here. Look, when I was on their podcast, okay, when I was on Nikki Steve's podcast, there was a lot of discussions, man, and one of the discussions that came up is it, is that Nick Nurse is at fault for this, right? And one thing that we're not going to do is in this entire situation is blame Nick Nurse, okay? And then in the comment section, I had noticed that nobody, one of the people that were in the comments, they have actually said that Paul George should get the smoke. Okay, And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. Now, here's why. Let me start with Nick Nurse, okay? First off, Nick Nurse is a championship head coach, okay? Um, Nick Nurse comes from the Popovich tree, okay? Nick Nurse comes from a championship pedigree type of tree when we're talking about Popovich. I mean, we can name them all: Budenholzer, Ime Udoka. You know, the list goes on. Okay, they come from the Popovich tree, and Nick Nurse does too. Now, Nick Nurse, what's up? What's up with it, Ted? I see you in here. The thing that we have to understand, man. Okay, is that Nick Nurse is placed in an unfair position. Okay, now we're gonna talk intelligent here. Now, if it's not intelligent to you, if we can't have an intelligent basketball conversation, please, excuse yourself. Go ahead and go because we're really gonna dissect this thing. There's no way in hell that you can blame Nick Nurse in this situation right here simply because he was placed in an unfair position. Now, last season, I get it. Some of his the only thing that I got on Nick Nurse about was his rotations. It was in the playoffs when we played against the Knicks, and it was also, I would say, mid season. However, even then you couldn't really get on Nick Nurse really because you were playing pretty much with guys who with a guy in Joel Embiid that really couldn't stay healthy. You were talking about a guy that only played 39 games last season. Okay, and then you're throwing him back into the lineup, and then all of these guys were in a rhythm. They would, they're in, in a rotation and stuff like that. And then you got to insert Joel Embiid in there. You got to get, towards the end of the season, you had to get Joel Embiid acclimated again and all that other stuff. So he was in a frenzy and in a tirade, so to speak. And then he was under the assumption that he was going to have all of his guys this season. He was under the assumption that he was going to have Paul George. He was under the assumption that he was going to have Tyrese Maxey. He was under the assumption that Joel Embiid was going to be back this season, especially Joel Embiid. Why? Because he played in the Olympics. Okay. Not only that, he made it seem as if though he was ready to go, in which a lot of people kind of speculated about that, including shout out to Sixers RB. He had said the same thing. We should have just shut him down for the remainder of the season. However, he ended up coming back, rushing back to play and stuff like that. I felt like it was a bad decision. He came out there in the playoffs. He was playing on one knee pretty much. You saw him limping and stuff. But then all of a sudden, he goes out there to the Olympics and he says, oh, okay, yeah, I want to represent the United States. Then you turn right back around at the end of the Olympics and you say you want to consider playing for your home country in Cameroon. But then you get back and then you say, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to play in the preseason. Okay, then it turns in and spirals out of control. And then you say that you can't play back to backs. And then back to backs turns into you missing games. And then all of a sudden, there's reports of you showing up late. Your eating habits have gotten worse. Maxie had to call you out. You're in disarray of what you want to do. This is hurting, that is hurting again. Your knee is swelling up again. You got all these different problems, you know what I'm saying? Now, and then you also had a controversy that had happened with the reporter and everything, which is understandable and stuff. But my point is that Nick Nurse did not have any control over that because He's expecting Joel Embiid to show up. He's expecting his superstar to show up, ready to go. He's expecting his superstar to be that alpha and be that leader, which Maxey was showing the capability of. You said he's a diva, setting a bad example for young players on the team. Exactly. And so Nick Nurse does not deserve any blame. No matter how much you maybe don't like Nick Nurse and everything, no matter how much you may think that Toronto Raptors championship was really a fake championship because it had not the KD not got hurt or whatever, then they wouldn't have that championship. No matter how much disdain you have for Nick Nurse, it is not Nick Nurse's fault that Joel Embiid is lazy. Okay, he's irresponsible. All right, he doesn't know how to handle his obligations. He's not taking care of his business. Okay, and on top of that, you're not being smart in how you take care of your body either. Because if you were smart, what you would have did is you would have found everything that every you would have did everything that you could to try to keep your body healthy and then be ready to go by the time the season hit. Okay, but no, you sat out in preseason. Joel fell off after the sympathy MVP. To me, he fell off long before that. Ted, I mean, when you don't make it past the second round, there pretty much hasn't been any progression. And then on top of that, you had to realize what you were dealing with early on in the season. I tried to cut him a little bit of slack, Ted. But the thing about it is, you can't do it anymore because now you look at his track record. You look at Joel Embiid's track record. When he first came in to the league, he was already hurt. Okay, got hurt twice. Missed 2 seasons. Okay, then it was one thing after another. Even in one playoff, I mean, the reason why I cut him some slack or whatever, and tried to cut him some slack is because I was like, well, man, at least this guy, he's playing hurt and everything like that. I'm mad that he's hurt, but I can't get mad at him because he's playing on one knee, got one eye, or got one hand, all this other stuff. But I wasn't realizing at the time that actually was doing more damage to our team more than being beneficial. He's becoming more of a liability, which is what he is right now. That's why we're stuck in the position that we are. We're at 15 and 27, and we are 11th in the Eastern Conference. Say Game 7 versus was horrible for Joel versus. Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, going back to Nick Nurse, it's not his fault. It's not his fault at all. And I know y'all want me to get on here and say that it's Nick Nurse's fault. And I'm talking to Nick Steves, and I'm also talking to Blaze McCoy because they had made a comment that the front office is not at fault. They are at fault. They are at fault. Daryl Morey is at fault. The whole entire Philadelphia front office is at fault. And let me tell you why. Because you gave Joel Embiid an extension with that you already knew that this guy was injury prone. Okay, you had hopes of him getting better and everything. Once he signed that extension or whatever, guess what? Now you shit out of luck. Pretty much, guess what he did? He pretty much hustled you. He pretty much hustled you. He pretty much hustled you. Hold on one sec, y'all. Sorry about that, y'all. I had to step away for a minute. You said, like you said earlier, the 76ers need to add former Sixers in the front office. Well, look, it's like I keep telling you. That's why the great teams they got guys in that front office, like the Spurs. They keep people around them that know Spurs culture. I'm trying to think. Even with the Miami Heat, as much as I'm not really feeling the Miami Heat right now. Pat Riley has kept people around in that Heat organization that know Heat culture. But I'm just talking about from a championship perspective. Lakers. Well, don't get me started on the Lakers. Previously, Lakers. You know what I'm saying? I don't know about now. Now you don't even know some of these dudes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, um, Rambus and all, I mean Genie Bus or whatever, but they're doing a terrible job. Man, maybe those aren't good examples. you know, um, I'm trying to think of some other places. Um, those are the ones that I could really think off the top of my head. Yeah, it's not really a good. I'm trying to give a good example right now. The Spurs, Dallas Mavericks. Even though they only got one championship to their name and everything, but they still hold expectation because they did make it to the finals. They've been in position to being to win a championship before. But you get my drift. You got to have people a part of that culture, that knows Sixers culture and stuff. Daryl Morey don't know Sixers culture like that. He knows Adam Silver culture. He knows what's trendy, what's hot. You know what I'm saying? Analytics, all that other bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Like he knows that. You said Baylor was never on the Lakers management. That's strange. Yeah, God rest his soul too. So I look at the situation right here, man, and then they're saying that Daryl Morey is not the problem. He is the problem. I mean, you gave out these contracts. Maxey here deserves his contract. Joel Embiid did not deserve any type of max deal. Not at all. He didn't. I'm sorry. If y'all gonna sit up there and not give Jimmy Butler an extension, why the fuck are you giving Joel Embiid an extension? Okay, and I know Joel Embiid. He went out on record. You know what I've done for this organization and stuff like that. You really haven't done anything. Like, to be honest with you, if that had came out of the if that had came out of the mouth of, say, like a Luca, okay, then we talking something different. If you talking about an SGA, we talking something different. If we're talking about Jason Tatum or Jalen Brown, we talk we having a different conversation. And as much as people don't like him, even with a LeBron, we having a different conversation. But Joel, you haven't done anything. You're not in there prepping, getting ready. You're not fighting to get back on the court. You're not doing any of that. And the Philadelphia front office, I know what they see. Daryl Morey, you pretty much were at odds with James Harden, and like I said, as much as I don't like James Harden's work habits and some of the stuff that he does or whatever, James Harden at least showed up. He might have played like shit, you know what I'm saying, that last game that he was there, but James Harden showed up and he saw the writing on the wall. Of course, my 76ers left. Well, yeah, he was a man. He was a damn court. You talking about court mark? Yeah, he was a damn good role player. I liked him too. You let him go, and it's just stupid decision making at the Philadelphia 76ers front office that they made. We're all upset, and the all I mean, this is a disgrace, man. This isn't 76ers basketball. Y'all might think, okay, well, man, what's the big deal? 76ers basketball, blah 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 blah, all this other stuff. This is an organization that Charles Barkley played for. This is an organization that Dr. J played for. This is an organization that the great Wilt Chamberlain played for. This is an organization that Maurice Cheeks played for. Moses Malone, AI. You know what I'm saying? Like, legend, Kangaroo Kid. You understand what I mean? Like, even to a lesser degree, some of the guys that done rolled through there. You know what I'm saying? Jerry Stackhouse. You know what I'm saying? Clarence Weatherspoon. You know what I'm saying? Some of the guys that tried to do what they could to try to help our culture once upon a time. Jeff Hornacek. You understand what I'm saying? Hershey Hawkins. You know what I mean? Like, guys that was there. Rick Mahorn. You know? So I look at that, um Andrew Tony, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, yeah, Doug Collins. Man, look, bro. Like, last night was so disgusting. And you can understand why the Warriors fans are disgusted too. And a lot of y'all don't know that the appreciation for the Warriors culture and the Warriors franchise run deep between Philly and Golden State, man, is because, and the reason it is because you got to think about where the Warriors franchise came from. You know what I'm saying? They were originally it was the Philadelphia Warriors. Okay, you know. Then of course, we have, at one time we were the Syracuse Nationals. You know what I'm saying? Which, by the way, we do have a championship with the as the Syracuse Nationals. So the ties to those organizations, they run deep. You know what I'm saying? They run really really deep. But I'm not trying to go back into time, mention the players or anything like that. So let me get on Paul. Let me talk about Paul George for a second. Now, shout out to um, Pull Up Podcast, because I posted what BJ had posted earlier in the comment section, and he was spitting straight logic. And there was somebody that said, "Hey, well, what about the smoke for Paul George?" Look, Paul George doesn't get any smoke. The only smoke that I would give Paul George is the fact that, man, it comes a time, man, where you have to know your body and know what you can do, what you can and can't do. And Paul George, he can't carry a team like that anymore. I mean, he got hurt in the preseason. I get it, man. You know, and Russell Westbrook, man, has been able to take a step back and take 3 steps forward, if that makes any sense. Because Russell Westbrook is my favorite player. What he's doing in Denver is phenomenal, and it might be the piece that they need to probably get back to that championship form that they once were. Now, I don't believe that they're gonna be OKC, but I look at that, man, and I look at the sacrifice that Russell Westbrook made to go to the bench when he was with the Clippers. Paul George might have to do that. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to sit here and say that Paul George is at fault of any of this. Of course, the management is going to be at the fault because they were the one that gave him the 212 mil. They were the one that gave him the money. They had held all these expectations for Paul George to come to the Philadelphia 76ers franchise, with the assumption that he was going to propel some sort of change. Um, Paul George doesn't get any blame in this, though. You know what I'm saying? Not in the magnitude of a Joel Embiid, no, because Paul George was expecting Joel Embiid to be there. Just like Nick Nurse was expecting all three of his superstars to be in the lineup. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm not going to sit here and say, "Oh, Paul George, this is fault and all this other stuff." I already told y'all, and I told y'all numerous times. Paul George is he's not the same now. Okay, he was he was sitting there complaining about playing small ball center. I clowned and I joked about that, and I said, you know, why is he crying for and all this other stuff. But at the same time, I had to sit back and think. Paul George, when he was over there in L.A. With the Clippers, he did play a little bit of power forward because of them being short-handed and stuff. And then he's having to come over here and have to play small ball center. I can understand his frustration because he's like, man, well, I didn't come over here for that, but I did say that Paul George, he can complain about some things like, you know, not getting the touches or he doesn't want to do some things, but I don't blame him for feeling the way that he was feeling because I felt like he wanted to walk in a better situation, and that just did not happen. It just did not happen. He was expecting to, you know, be working on the championship with these guys. When we talk about Max, when we talk about Embiid, and that hasn't happened. Said Paul George at small ball center would have helped the 76ers a different look. Yeah, but the problem is that's not first off, if you're gonna be playing that, man, if you're gonna be playing that role, I mean, you do somewhat have to be a physical presence somewhere. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're gonna be playing at the center position, and I say somewhat because you have guys that don't really have that physical presence. Like okay, like with Jokic, right? Jokic can have his way inside or out, like just like he was doing last night. I mean, Jokic was hitting 3 pointers. Jokic was up in there, you know, making them little unorthodox moves under the basket. Jokic was throwing no look passes to Aaron Gordon, alley oops and shit. You know what I'm saying? Just making that motherfucker look easy. What's up with it, Steven? You say I don't know if I can court on Paul George. He never played a full season. Yeah, but I'm not gonna, like I said, man, I'm not gonna put the blame on Paul George in this situation neither, though. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I also look at it like this too. If Paul George can get out there, you know what I'm saying, after hyperextensions, after messing up his ankle, you know what I'm saying, legs sticking out, I mean, bones sticking out his leg once upon a time in his career. You mean to tell me that that you know, Joel, you can't sit up there and be healthy, ready to go? You know, after you done played on the Olympics and stuff like that, it's no wonder that your knee is messed up. You know what I'm saying? And see, what you don't know with the meniscus and with any type of tear, it's not going to get any better. Especially like I told you, man, Joel Embiid, he's not 6 foot. Joel Embiid is a 7 footer carrying a lot of weight on them knees. And that's a lot of running that they're doing. You know what I'm saying? That's a lot of I know he's not no freakish athlete like that and jumping all the time and stuff like that. But nevertheless, you're still putting pressure on your knee when you're having to run up and down the floor. Yeah, like, and it might it might come to this. It might come a case, Stephen, man, where Joel Embiid, he's gonna have to retire, man, because eventually his knee is just gonna give out on him. And listen, man, I don't have so much hate towards Joel Embiid for him to wish, okay, yeah, one day he running and his knee just pops out or something like that. You know what I'm saying, or just gives out on him. But hey, that's likely to happen, man, with all the stuff that you putting body through. You said somebody need to yell at Embiid to step up his game. That was Maxie. Maxie had already did that, and it was rumored, you know, according to Nick Stees. Shout out to Nick Stees. If you're not sub to Nick Stees, definitely go sub to Nick Stees. He's a Philadelphia 76ers fan. knows inside news about what's going on in the Philadelphia 76ers organization, and a good podcast too as well. It was rumored that in the Denver Nuggets locker room, Nick Nurse was furious, cursing out everybody. And I don't blame Nick Nurse. So listen, man, uh, it's come to a point now, man, where um, it is time to reset. I've been saying this for a long time. We're gonna have to blow this thing up. It's like with Mark Spears. I want to give a shout out to Mark Spears too, uh, for what he said today on the NBA show with Shanae and um, the rest of the guys on there. He said, "Man, what are we waiting for? With the hopes of either playing what like." He made my point earlier that I was trying to tell you, Steven. You were talking about, yeah, we're trying to fight for a play in and all this other stuff, right? We're fighting for a play in spot and in hopes of getting the eighth seed and possibly have to face either Boston or the Cavs. You really think that we're going to be able to compete with those guys? You said Miles Turner. I mean, he would, but like I said, you got to look at the money. You got to look at the money situation. The only thing that we have that's really, I could say, beneficial for us is we could come off the contract with Gershon. Um, and I'm looking at tradable assets. Like I told you, we got Oubre, who I don't want to let go, but some people feel like Oubre does need to go. And we also the other thing that we have is we got to realize that we got that protected pick 1 through 6. Embiid is going to be hard to get rid of because of his contract and because of you know his contract, what's in his contract and everything. He can't be traded till March, and you also have to understand that he pretty much has control on where he wants to go. And then you got to realize, are we going to be able to get anything good in return for Embiid? Because Embiid is not. You got to think about it. He's not durable. Like Embiid, like when he first got in here, you say keep drumming. Yeah, I don't have a problem with drumming. I think drumming has actually been kind of productive, but we still need, like you were saying earlier, Stephen, man, we need a big that is going to be able to run and be athletic. You don't have to worry about him missing games constantly. Like Evan Mobley, you ain't got to worry about him missing games. Jared Allen, you ain't got to worry about them missing games. I mean, last season, Jared Allen was hurt and everything, but now you're seeing them. You're seeing how they're flourishing right now. The brother Will Sports Topics is in the building, man. Make sure y'all go sub to the homie Will Sports Topics, Dallas Cowboys fan. Of course, loves talking the game of football and everything. Salute to you, Will. Right now, we're talking about the Philadelphia 76ers, but we're going to touch on football because I definitely, you said Sixers need some major moves. Oh, yeah, absolutely. But the thing about it is we don't have no leg room like that. Like I said, we got Gershon on the books. He's a tradable asset, and as well as uh, Kelly Oubre. He's a tradable asset too as well. Other than that, man, we don't really have that much leg room, especially when we're dealing with three max players on our roster. When you talk about Maxi, when you talk about Embiid, and when you talk about Paul George. So I mean, we just got to get. Our thing is just getting healthy, but the likelihood of that happening is not good, especially when you're dealing with a headache like Joel Embiid, man. Now, I know Ted was talking about earlier that Dallas was interested in him. Go ahead, have him. But I'm telling you, you think it's gonna be you're gonna be in even a bigger market in Dallas because now you got Luca. I know this. How do you feel about Trump putting these laws out? The executive orders, man. Well, first off, they got the executive order that just took place just a little while ago with the with the immigration raids that are happening now. I'm not for that. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like I don't have a problem with immigrants that come over here that are trying to live productive lives. Of course, you know that will because you over here in Texas, man, and you know that if it wasn't for the immigrants, man, and the roads wouldn't be fixed, the houses wouldn't be built. You know what I'm saying? They do a lot of important things. You know what I'm saying to help the economy and stuff. You know what I'm saying in terms of keeping stuff moving and stuff. You need guys like that. And then on top of that, you shutting the border down and everything. Now I understand maybe we don't see it right now, the long term or whatever, but it is going to have a detrimental effect. Um, as far as the gender, the male and female or whatever, you know what I'm saying. I can understand that. A lot of people, a lot of people feel uh, differently about that. You know what I'm saying. Another thing is the 14th Amendment, the um, the birthright citizenship. There's some people that feel some way about that. I mean, I didn't feel like he had to name. He did put in an executive order to name, the Gulf of Mexico, the Gulf of America. You know what I'm saying? I thought that was crazy. You know what I'm saying? Let me see some other stuff, man. Now, one thing that I do agree with that he did do was getting rid of the mandate of having electric cars. I don't think that to me, you mandating electric cars or whatever, like Biden was planning on doing, that was going to make a lot of people suffer too because you're going to have guys that eventually might live to be, in their 70s or 80s, and all that they know is to pump gas. You understand what I mean? So, um, look, it's different strokes for different folks, but this is what I'll say, Will. Right? You don't want to put your faith in no man. Put your faith in yourself. You have to be self-sufficient, self-independent. Worry about your household. In your household, you got to be the president. In your household, you got to be, you know what I'm saying, uh, all the branches of government. You know what I'm saying? You got to be the king. You got to restore order. You know what I'm saying? You can't depend on these lawmakers, on these politicians and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You got to have an exit plan. You got to have an out. You got to have a plan A through Z in case shit hits the fan. So don't be heavily relying on, oh man, Trump did this, Trump did that. No, I'm gonna be fine regardless. You know what I'm saying? Because you have a plan outside of that stuff. Yeah, electric cars. I mean, and everybody like, oh, I gotta have an electric car. Okay, well, you don't realize, man, when you out there and let's say, and I'm gonna give a demographic because we'll know what I'm talking about. Let's say you drive to like El Paso or some shit, right? You got to go all the way to El Paso, going to Arizona and stuff like that. Texas got a lot of land. It's a big state. You might not find a charging station for a lot of miles, man. And I'm not talking about no 10, 15 miles. You might not find a charging station for like an hour or so. and you low on charge or something like that. I'm just saying, I'm just hypothetically speaking, if that was to take place. So you got to think about stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Whereas you got a gas station, that's the one thing that you can rely on is gas. Ford need to make more care to many SUVs and trucks. Well, he. That's another thing that he's doing. He's restoring a lot more jobs now. A lot of automobile jobs. That's one thing that he had already. Well, that's what he said that he had promised to do or whatnot. So a lot of these jobs are going to come through. But you also got to think, man, like him getting rid of a lot of the immigrants that are here. You have the jobs that say Will might not want to work, or you might not want to work, Stephen, or I might not want to work. Guess what? They'll get another person that's not from the United States to go ahead and do that job because they're willing to work at 3 in the morning. They're willing to work at some dangerous ass jobs that like you could fall and something could happen to you and stuff like that. Or you putting your life at risk. The average American citizen, they're not going to do that, but they're trying to be free. They try, look, they escaping corruption. I'm talking about some of the Mexicans that come over here. They escaping corruption. They escaping violence. They escaping, you know, all the poverty that they got over there and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a lot of stuff that goes on in Mexico or whatever that a lot of people don't see that they trying to get away from. They trying to get their family away from. You know what I'm saying? And if they coming over here and they living productive lives and doing everything that they can to put food on the table, clothes on the back, or roof over their head or whatever, I'm all for that. Pretty much like I told you in the last, I mean, it was the previous video that I made, Will, Steve, and everybody up in here, is that pretty much all these guys want to come over here and do is work. They want to drink their little beer or whatever they drink. They probably want to smoke a little weed or whatever, go to sleep and go to work. That's all they really want to do. You know what I'm saying? And, be around their kids, be around the wife or whatever, have their little parties or whatever, throw their little barbecue, and that's it. They not trying to come over here bothering nobody. The 9 times out of 10, like they don't want to bother nobody because they might end up getting questioned about some shit. So they trying to leave you the fuck alone, and they want you to leave them the fuck alone. I want the foreign people to stay or come to America to do the dirty jobs and open up their business. Yeah, I mean, look, they coming over here, and while you laughing at the guy, in the beginning, you know what I'm saying, he wearing messed up clothes and all that other stuff. He got paint and all that other shit. Sooner or later, man, guess what, man? When you go for a job, you gonna probably need that dude. He gonna be in a suit, and he gonna be like, yeah, step right into my office or whatever. That was the guy that was painting the houses. That was the guy that was fixing the roof. That was the guy that was in the warehouse sweating and shit like that. That was the guy that was out there doing that construction. You said most definitely, bro. That's why I support you, because you speak the truth. Man, we speak the whole truth, nothing but the truth around this motherfucker, man. But see, people don't realize that, man. Look, we are at the forefront. I'm talking about my guys that's in Texas, California, Arizona, New Mexico, all them southwestern states. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to understand that when when you go to some places or whatever, like let's say you go, Will know what I'm talking about. You go to some restaurants, like like a chicken place, like Will, you know about Williams Chicken. Man, there used to be a time when Williams Chicken, there was nothing but black folks in there working and stuff like that. Man, you go up in there, man, there ain't nothing but Hispanics up in there working. You go up in the fast food places, you know what I'm saying, like a Whataburger or something like that. Man, guess what? You got a whole bunch of Hispanics up in there working, and they running it, and they franchising. You said foreign people ride Mercedes Benz. Yeah. So I mean, look, man. I know I got off the subject or whatever. We were talking about 76s, but hey, we'll know how I am, man. We go everywhere, man. You know what I'm saying? But I will continue this topic a little bit later if the homie Will pulls up. Make sure y'all go sub to Will Sports Topic too. Stephen Green go sub to his channel too as well. Make sure y'all like the video, share, subscribe, hit the notification too so that you are notified. Shouts out to the whole entire Lions Den basketball, boxing community. Straight to the point. I'll get at y'all later.